We're coming up to our second last speaker, and her name is Jane Barkley, and she's talking about this is not a hashtag. Jane.
This is so dramatic. This is going to be really interesting because I gesticulate a lot, but in fairness, they did tell me to wear a collared shirt to put the mic on, and apparently I don't own any, so you can assume what you would like to about me for that, and I'm going to assume that you understand how difficult it is to get up in front of a room of people and speak. So for me, having your attention in doing that is a courtesy that I really, really appreciate. Sorry, excuse me. There we go. You know, I would really appreciate it if, I know there are people tweeting, but I'd appreciate it if you actually set your mobile devices down for just a few minutes to sort of enable that courtesy. Now, they asked that at another event recently, and some people got really pissed off about not being able to tweet. And the argument was basically that people can tweet what they want, when they want, how they want. And I thought that was really interesting, tweeting as a right. I thought about what that meant for my 15-year-old son and the way he exercises his rights using social media. I actually pictured him in his class trying to exercise his right to tweet with his teacher speaking, and I don't think it would go over very well, but that's how I tend to think about social media and the example that we set for my son and his generation, because increasingly he's seeing how people can use it more effectively and profoundly to bully, to coerce, to push people towards suicide. He's seen young men use it to broadcast rape and how we can use it to shame rape victims. And increasingly, his world is coming to him through social media, and it is for me too. I first heard about the shootings in Newtown, Connecticut through Twitter before there were any substantiated facts at all. And I, as a parent, had to put myself in the place of those parents. I thought about my own kids and sending them off into the world like any other day and having them taken. I have no words for that. I didn't, and I still don't really believe that I had any right to say anything about Newtown, but I was the minority. Immediately, there were hashtags, grief, prayers, gun control. There were complaints that Obama had chimed into a Patriots game to talk about Newtown. Kmart used it as an opportunity to promote product. And I would like to say that that was unlike anything I had ever seen, but it wasn't. The desire to be first, to be loudest, to be part of the conversation, whether or not we should be part of the conversation, is a daily occurrence on social media. I guess what struck me about Newtown is that we were using children's deaths to do that. But before you think I've got like a serious hate on for social media, I'm actually an active user on over 30 different platforms, and I spend most of my days on social media or researching it. I wouldn't be married or have my 2 daughters without it, but I don't embrace it without criticism. And one of the main criticisms that I have is that we spend a huge amount of time thinking about what we want to say, and very little time invested in the impact that that has on other people, or thinking about how we teach younger generations to consider that impact too. That's my favorite slide. I don't really understand my own impact on social media, really. I mean, last week I reached about 24,000 people on Twitter alone, and I don't know those people. I have no idea how my words really, truly impacted them. I try to be honest and considerate, and I'd like to think that nothing that I say is really hurting people, unlike the Westboro Baptist Church, who tweets things like, God sent the Boston bombings in fury over fag marriage. That's how they exercise their right to tweet. And I do believe that whether or not we agree with one another's point of view, we have a right to express that point of view. But with that right is a responsibility to be accountable for how our freedom of speech impacts other people. The words, the timing, the example that we set in every word that we publicly broadcast. those are things that we're actually practiced in thinking about every single day in our face-to-face social interaction. But what we're less practiced at is being media. Media has traditionally been impartial. It's supposed to represent what's true with accountability and fairness. And there's an ethical code that sort of supports that. They don't always hit the mark, and we don't even have that ethical code. So it's kind of important that we get with it and talk about these things critically so that we can understand how to navigate that world with boundaries and with integrity. And I'm not the social media integrity police, but I want my kids to know that the slide that just went by, is not a hashtag. Thank you.